All right, we have started. Hello, Stacy. Thank you again for joining me in this conversation in regards to Rocky Horror. Um, I'm ecstatic to hear about your journey and your experiences with it. I think where I've started with a lot of people so far is how did you find out about Rocky Horror and what got you into it?
Well, I met somebody at my friend's quince, and it was her cousin who was older and from Miami.
Hmm.
We became pen pals, and he moved to Tampa from Miami. And when he got here, we'd go out and do stuff, and he took me for my first time. And after that, it was probably about a month, and they ended up moving from uh, University Mall to Hillsboro 8 Theater.
Hmm.
And that's where I saw him the second time. And I went, I think, a third time, and then I was on cast.
Oh, wow.
It was that quick.
Okay.
There was things going on, drama. I was doing uh, part time because one of the other people couldn't do it for something, and it was a bunch of drama and garbage that happened, and then all of a sudden I found myself as Janet,
Ah.
and we had to learn it the hard way.
Mm.
We had to find somebody who had a copy of the video and watch it and rewatch it and rewatch it and rewind it and rewatch it and rewind it, and then struggling to find a costume.
Yes.
If you didn't know somebody who sewed, you really had to come up with something as close as possible.
Oh.
And then being 17 years old and going into Fredericks of Hollywood was an experience to get fishnet stockings and garters. And let me tell you, that was fun. But you got your gear together, and it wasn't easy.
Mm.
And so you did that, and you got your makeup, and you got all your goodies going.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. You went out there and you just did your
yeah,
best.
you just go out there and do what you can do. I mean, you really, 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 really practiced because you didn't want to look like a jerk up there.
I
And
that's awesome.
and the good part was they were all so friendly and helpful,
Hmm.
the other cast members.
Hmm.
So if you needed a hand with the costume piece or you needed to learn a number, Walter Alexandra
Hmm.
was always a big one to help out where he could. And we had another drag queen on cast, and she was awesome, and she would help out. She's no longer with us, Taryn. Um,
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, damn COVID got her.
Oh, that's
Even
awful.
worse. Yeah. Um, we had several Eddies.
Hmm.
Um, I had my Brad was always my Brad unless we do some sort of or uh, character changeover.
Mm. Okay.
I like I said, I'll just keep talking. So ask your question.
Oh no, you're fine. I love listening to people, so it's gonna be a very interesting like conversation back and forth. Then, all right. So what was it? What was it like? That first time on stage? Was it exhilarating, nerve-wracking? Like, how did you feel?
Yes,
Yes.
it was. It was. I'd done plays before for
Hmm.
school. Um, I'd done plays before in school, and
Hmm.
I was with the chorus in school and at church.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like I'd never been up there before.
Hmm.
Um, and it was exhilarating until we got to the bra and slip part.
Uh,
And that was nerve wracking because I didn't even wear a two-piece bathing suit.
oh.
And it's not that I was a prude. I was not comfortable with my own body.
Gotcha. All right.
Uh, and I wish I had that body. We always criticize ourselves so much. But yeah, no, I was very uncomfortable with myself. But Rocky changed that.
Yeah.
It really does when you're running around in corset and underwear and garter and fishnets by the end of the night.
That's very true. I definitely noticed my comfortability with myself kind of skyrocket it, or I guess went up a lot after doing Rocky for so many years. So I was like, oh, this is just normal now. This is doesn't bother me as much as it used to once upon a time.
Well, the way we had because we just did it at regular theater and they
Hmm.
had the side exits to go out,
Hmm.
and we basically would put up a curtain,
Ah.
and that was changing areas. And it wasn't boys and girls, it was what side of the stage were you coming in from. So that was a new experience for me.
Ah.
um, I actually invited my parents out to come and see it, and they
Ah.
came.
Okay. How was that?
um, they left about 30 minutes in and they were like, what a stupid movie. And I'm like, all right, hallelujah. They left before the last scene.
You
But they
gave him
knew
a
what I was
chance.
doing, and I invited them to come and see what I was doing to explain it.
Hmm.
And, my mom's comment was, you're wearing as much as you would if you were wearing a bathing suit. And I
Yeah,
trust you. So that was nice.
that, that's wonderful. That's beautiful in so many ways. Um, where did you perform at? Was it in Tampa?
Hillsboro 8 in Tampa.
One more time?
Hillsboro 8 in Tampa.
Hillsboro 8 in Tampa. I've been talked a couple of people that I've talked to so far. That's been there. That's been where they started their journey. Was that the like only cast within the city and the area, or was that just like the one that
Yeah,
everybody would go to?
that was the only one in Tampa. There was one in St. Pete,
Hmm.
and we actually got a couple of people from St. Pete that came over to our cast.
Ah.
Um, but yeah, that was it. It wasn't. It was really, really low key on who had it, where it was at. It wasn't advertised really. I mean, there might be an ad in the paper showing all the movies,
Hmm.
and they'd show in there that, there was a midnight showing of Rocky Horror, but, it wasn't anything big like it is now.
Yeah. That's that's so interesting to hear that now it's kind of like a big thing. Like if there's a cast performing, you'll find it on a bunch of websites. There's a bunch of advertisements on like
Oh,
Facebook and
hell,
everything.
this year I saw four different performing arts centers doing it. A
Wow.
couple, yeah, I mean, because I'm living in Port Richey right now,
Hmm.
and there was two out here. There was one further out. There's Tampa Theater. I mean, there's all the different places that are doing it now. Where
Yeah.
before it was just us doing it in the theater, and then a friend of ours, his mom worked for Tampa Theater, and that's how we got Rocky into Tampa Theater.
Oh, wow.
If you can ask Alexandra that, but I'm pretty sure that's how that happened.
Okay, I definitely will. I'll definitely add that to my notes to have a conversation with her about in regards to that. That nobody. So it's funny. I know people. I know it's been going on at the Tampa Theater for a while. But I never knew how it started or what like bridged that gap to kind of make that a thing. But I've performed there twice, both this year and last year, and I love that venue. I think it's one of the most beautiful places I've
Oh,
ever
I love
been to.
Tampa Theater.
Yes,
But you want to hear something funny?
I would love
I have
to.
never been to a Rocky Horror show at Tampa Theater.
What?
I have never been. I have not. The last time I went to Rocky Horror
Mhm.
was, ooh, 15 years ago.
Oh my
I went and
goodness.
saw one that Alexandra was working with.
Okay.
And prior to that, it was probably a good 10 years
Oh wow.
since I'd seen the actual, performed at a theater with a live cast.
Oh wow. That's amazing. So
And I
you
was never virginized. I went to my first one and I was too scared to go up front. So I never got virginized.
and yet you end up playing one of the most important roles on stage very shortly after. I would say that's a pretty great transition right there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I just got lucky. I got lucky because I got a great crew to work with too.
Yeah.
We were family.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. What was I
I'm
gonna say?
still friends with a lot of them.
Yes.
So I mean, I've got 30 some odd year friendships.
Is and that's something I did want to like kind of highlight. Is that some I feel like that's a very common thing, or I guess rather I wouldn't say common, but since I've been talking to people and been doing these conversations with people, I that is something that I've picked up a lot. A lot of people make friends by joining a cast or being a part of the community in some form or fashion, and they end up keeping these friendships for long periods of time, almost lifetimes. Um, is that something you've noticed as well, or is that just,
Oh
do you
yeah.
think that's okay? All right.
Well, for I honestly, I think for most people that do Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
um, they they don't feel like they fit into a particular group. Maybe they're friends with people from different walks of life and different places, and they're a little bit of all of that mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're their own person, but it makes them an odd person. They're not with the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of the different types of odd people that there are kind of came together and did something fun, stayed out of trouble, got into some trouble, and took care of each other in the process of growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, I mean, I'm bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm diagnosed as bipolar. Um, Back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know what bipolar was. In the 80s, mental health wasn't a thing. You just smoked a joint and went on with your day if you had anxiety. You know, you developed an alcohol problem if you had trauma.
That was the best.
Seriously.
Oh man.
But it just there was a sense of family, even in the bad parts. There was jealousy.
Hmm.
There was some backstabbing.
Oh.
There was always some sort of nonsense going on. You know, breaking up and getting together, and yeah, it's like a friggin' episode of Dynasty. But, through it all, at the end of the day, if it was 2 a.m. and I needed somebody, I could make that phone call and go, hey, I need you here. And no questions asked, they've been there.
Yeah, you guys had
And
like a family.
right. Like if I were to call Alexandra right now
Hmm.
and tell her, I need you, it's an emergency, life or death,
Hmm.
he'd come
I love
because
that.
I'd never call him and say that
Very
unless it
true.
was.
Yeah.
But vice versa.
Same.
If we were to call it, I don't care if I had to take an Uber to Tampa, I would.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing. I think that's something that I think that's beautiful because there's a lot of people in this world who don't have that. So the fact that something as obscure as the Rocky Horror Picture Show can give you those bonds, I think that's a blessing in its own right.
Oh, it is because all of my family has passed away at this point.
Mm.
So I still have, I it's actually my brother's anniversary of his death, or
Oh,
actually of his birth.
oh,
Um, and
my
it,
condolences.
it it's the anniversary of his birth, but his death was in 2021.
Mhm.
Um, but I posted something about it, and all my Rocky friends immediately are like, "Hey, I'm here. I gotcha. We love you, and you're not the only one. You still have your Rocky family." And it's stuff like that. Even if I haven't seen them in 8 or 10 years,
Yeah,
we still communicate over, and it's still that what's going on. Oh my God, is there anything I can do?
I
I've
love that.
got one of them that's in stage 4 renal failure,
Oof.
and he's limping along, but we all check in on him and see what we can do and how he is doing, and make sure he at least has got food in his belly and he's not dying. Um, everybody's struggling, but we all try and reach out to each other and touch base and at least lend an ear or anything we can.
I'm sure he appreciates it, and I send all the positive energy and blessings and prayers to that individual, and I hope for a good recovery. Um, okay. Ooh, that's a it's gonna be a weird transition.
Well, it's a fact of life. It's
Yeah.
I've got COPD. I was a heavy smoker.
Hmm.
I also had my own cleaning service and in a lot of chemicals. Yeah, it is life. It's what we call the new normal. It may not be normal, but it's the new normal.
That's the new normal. Well, I think if you can still laugh and smile and still wake up feeling even a little grateful to be alive, I think that's the best thing you can ask for, right?
Exactly.
I like that. Um, so you started off playing Janet, right? Did you ever get to migrate over to any other characters, or did it kind of just
Um, we do. um, takeover night,
Hmm.
and I played Magenta,
Nice.
um, and I played Frankenfurter,
Ah,
which
nice.
that one was because the guy that usually played Frankenfurter had some sort of attitude issue or something. I don't even remember, but drama queen.
Mm.
And I was told I was going on that night. And I was like, oh, okay. So, mind you, I've got 36C full C,
Hmm.
and we had to ace bandage my chest
Oh.
as flat as we could.
Mm.
It was very interesting.
Did the
And and,
binding
and
work?
and yeah, now I know why binding is a form of torture.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's not so much when it's on, it's when it comes off.
Ah, really? Interesting. Is it like it's like a release or is it more painful?
It's more painful because all your skin's growing back out.
Ooh, I didn't think about it like that. That doesn't sound pleasant. Okay, yeah, no, I'm good. Um, okay, so out of the all the characters you've played, who was your favorite?
My favorite character or my favorite one to play?
Both.
My favorite one to play was Janet.
Okay. Is that just because that's the character you got and you just learned and honed that ability so well, or is there something about the character that spoke to you?
It was the closest one I could relate to.
Okay.
Confused and thrown into a situation where you have no clue what you're doing.
Okay, fair enough. All right. You play it like that, that totally makes sense. I love.
Well, it's true.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's
And I was
sometimes.
very naive. I was very naive and innocent before I did this. I mean, I didn't go out on dates. I didn't go to clubs. I didn't do much. I read. I stayed at home. I'd go to the mall on occasion.
Mhm.
But I really, well, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And at Rocky, I learned how to do things.
It became like your social circles in a way, right? Like it gave
Yeah.
you your thing to do on the weekend, like because that's something that one of my previous people talked to about was like if not when you're doing Rocky Horror, at least you always kind of know what you're doing every weekend type of deal. It's like okay, I may not have had like the best week, but I know that this weekend I'll have something to look forward to. Like I'll have
Well,
people.
it was always, oh, well, at least I know I'm going to see my friends and have a good time Friday night and Saturday night.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think when I was doing it more frequently back in the day, that was the thing that I always looked forward to as well. Just having that,
Yeah. I get to see my friends and have fun.
yeah, I forget about all my problems for a little while before I get back to like the normal hustle and bustle. It's amazing. And who's the character that you like out of the entire movie? Like, who's the character that speaks to you the most?
Frank.
Frank? Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's just him
Hmm.
and goes after what he wants.
I respect it.
And and makes no qualms about who he is, and I kind of like that attitude. I kind of have that attitude these days.
So you can identify with them a little bit more.
It's kind of like, this is me, this is who I have become. If you don't like it, shove it.
I like that. I can respect that. Okay. So you ended up playing, how long were you active in the Rocky Horror scene?
Year and a half.
Year and a half? Okay, that's not bad. It's pretty good.
I want to
Yeah.
say it was like a year and a half. Yeah.
Hmm. And did you take a break and then come back, or did you just like you got your time in and you're like,
Once
all right,
I left, once I left, I was gone.
you're gone?
I didn't go back to it. I mean, I kept touch with all the people,
Yeah.
but I didn't go back to actually see a show
Hmm.
until, whew, I'd say it was about 20 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we went to see cast perform
Hmm.
with the same Frankenfurter that had been performing when I was on cast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this guy played Frankenfurter for forever, forever, and he had tattoos to match for the
Oh,
part.
wow.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, um, we don't talk about him much, but you know, he was a big part of the cast back then, and some of the earlier uh, after casts that came after we
Hmm.
did. Um, but he's disappeared. I don't know what's happened to him.
Okay. He probably finally hit that point of retirement and kind of went off into the sunset to kick his feet back and relax, hopefully.
The young girls probably stopped coming to him.
I, so that's even more interesting to me. So I would definitely say you're probably one of the first people I've talked to so far that kind of like you did your time, you got what you got out of it, and then kind of was like, all right, walking away. And stayed in touch and in ties with the community, but never really performed again. Did you ever miss it, or was it just
Oh
one of those
yeah,
things? Okay.
oh yeah. That was it was always a blast to do.
Hmm.
And we'd always have fun and like touch me scenes.
Hmm.
It didn't matter, whether you were playing Magenta and Columbia or uh, Janet and Rocky. It was a fun scene to play.
Hmm.
Um, and you could go so many ways with that. The bedroom scene is another one. I know of a couple of times where the bedroom scene was just a sheet with a light behind the table
Yes.
so you could see the shadows.
Hmm.
And there was an occasion when the wrong person was in there, or when the wrong person would come in there, or when the person in there had an issue
Hmm.
and it was very obvious. Um, it just, there was some funny stuff, and we got away with so much.
Yeah.
We really did. I mean, it wasn't as PC and PG as everything is now.
I I feel like when it comes to Rocky, it's never really ever been too PG. I could be wrong on that, but Some of the callback lines these days I feel like are a lot more intense than some of the ones that I've heard back when I was like really active on cast. I don't know what the callback lines were back when you were performing, but I imagine they were pretty out there as well.
They were pretty raunchy.
Yeah, and I think
They
that
were
kind of
pretty
keeps it.
raunchy.
It keeps it that gives it that grit to it. Um,
Well, and
but
if you think about it, it was the 80s.
yes.
And the 80s, we had some good raunchy words. And we had Cyndi Lauper talking about playing with herself on the radio, and Prince talking about used condoms in his pocket. I mean, come on.
I didn't know Cyndi Lauper had a song like that.
What?
I didn't know Cyndi Lauper had a song like that.
Yeah, it's called Bebop.
Is that what that song's about?
It's about female masturbation.
What? Oh my goodness. Okay.
She bop, a wee bop, I bop, you bop.
I guess we, yeah, we all bop. It's human nature. It's about, okay. Wow.
But yeah, it's
I
about
didn't know that.
masturbation.
Huh. Did not know that. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to keep that.
You have to listen to it now.
I do. I do. I have to do it after we're probably done with this. I'll listen to it on the way, grabbing some food or something, because that is so fascinating. um, Speaking of like, while we're on the topic of like out there things, um, while you were doing Rocky, like, is there like a story or an incident that happened that sticks out in your mind that you still like think about and you're like, that's crazy. That's
A
wild.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I have a lot of them. It depends on what you're looking for.
whatever
We
honestly you feel like sharing,
we
I
did
don't want to pry.
crazy. I mean, we did some crazy stuff. There was one night, myself, one
Mhm,
of the other actresses, and a friend of hers that had come to the show.
mhm,
We're all in my car, and I want to say there was a fourth girl. But we were in my car. I was driving. I always drove. I had the car,
gotcha.
and there were four guys in a car from Rocky following us.
Hmm.
And this was after we left Rocky one night,
Gotcha.
and we were going and kind of being funny and not being stupid, but being silly and going down back roads and blah blah blah. And finally, I found out that they couldn't do reverse. The car wouldn't go into reverse. They had to actually physically get out of the car and push the car reverse.
Wow. Okay.
So I ended up on the street and I banged a Yui real quick and went
Hmm.
right by it.
Gotcha.
So they had to go forward and then push it to reverse and then go forward and push it to do it three. So we lost them. I ended up dating one of them and sleeping with the other one
Nice.
at some point in time. But we kept it within the group.
I got you. I respect that. That's awesome. Oh yeah.
uh,
Mm.
but that was a fun one. We did. I won't go into detail, but we did play
Hmm.
spin the bottle,
Gotcha.
strip, spin the bottle,
Ah,
um, down to your panties or underwear.
I like it.
More if you wanted, but that was, and
The
and then it was, um, if you're out of clothes, kiss any exposed area,
ah.
unexposed with permission.
Hmm.
And thank God I ended up with my boyfriend in the other room because when we came back out, there was an orgy of sorts going on, and people with different people than they came with, and yeah,
Ah,
it was quite crazy. I didn't
that.
partake in that one, but that was a crazy thing.
So that's like, so for me, I am so fascinated by that type of those events because I never got that experience from doing Rocky. I've heard about it. I've heard many stories like that, right? But I never personally experienced it. And I've always been like, I don't want to say skeptical, but I always found it kind of hard to believe, but that's probably just because of my experiences with Rocky versus I like yours, for instance, where you saw a whole different litany of like after hour parties and things along that nature.
Well, and you have to remember, we were latchkey kids.
Mm.
We were a generation that took care of ourselves.
Ah.
We were left alone. Um, you know, I we were going to stay at such and such's house,
Hmm.
and such could say they were staying at our house
Hmm.
and get away with more because we didn't have cell phones and we didn't have, it just with technology
Hmm.
has brought, I think, in some ways, less spontaneity, less fun that way
Yeah.
because you're always afraid of, well, who's going to see it?
Yeah.
Or how's it going to make me look?
Yeah.
Or, and back in our day, it was, I have a few pictures of
Hmm.
us at gatherings,
Yeah.
um, but no pictures of anybody in costume.
Huh.
Somebody somewhere does have pictures,
Hmm.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
but no one's put them on Facebook for anybody else in the group. So I can't say that I've seen any.
Fair enough. That's understandable. There's probably some floating around in someone's photo book somewhere. They probably pull
We
out.
There's one of a group of us. We did a picnic
Hmm.
one Sunday, and we went to Horizon Park,
Hmm.
and we were going to play war games.
Hmm.
So I remember I dressed all in camo. I had a black tank top, a camo jacket, camo pants, and a camo hat. And
Wow.
I thought I was just like all badass. And the guys were in their gear, and everybody was, and we I can't remember if we got in trouble there or not. I know we caused a ruckus of some sort, but we also did another outing at Laurie Park at Fairyland. Do you remember Fairyland?
Vaguely.
Okay, well, we were in Fairyland
Hmm.
having a picnic of sorts, and we had the drag queens with us,
Oh, that's wonderful.
and and we were, having a good time, and we got kicked out.
You
I
got
don't
kicked.
remember exactly what we did, but we got kicked out of Fairyland at Laurie Park.
You got kicked out of Fairyland at Laurie Park. That is a place of happiness and joy. How did you?
The memory store, Alexandra might be able to refill you in. There.
I will definitely be sure to add that one to the list of questions to bring up. Fairyland story. I'm definitely
Yeah,
interested about that one.
yeah. How'd you guys get kicked out of Fairyland?
How'd you get looking at Fairyland? I'm genuinely curious.
I honestly I can't remember.
It just kind of happened. It was just one of those things you turned around and next thing you know, you're getting kicked out.
Yeah, well, and the thing of it is it we we'd get together for the stupidest stuff. I mean, we'd spend as much time together as possible,
That's wonderful.
and we were all up in each other's lives. And somebody broke up, and uh, one of my girlfriend, one of my girlfriends from Rocky was saying the last thing we talked about, and she goes, I remember you. Um, thinking I broke up, and I was so heartbroken and so upset, and you grabbed me and put me in the car, and we just went driving and getting stoned for hours and hours, and and she goes, that was like the best night and best recovery. And until she said it, I hadn't remembered it, but it's something I always did when I felt bad. And so I guess I still do it when I have my car running, right? It's always okay, hop in the car, let's go. Turn on some good music and go riding around on the water and look at the water. Don't worry about anything else.
Mm.
So she brought back a memory. So I love when I talk to my old friends because it's always like you get this memory of some event that you'd forgotten about, but it was really special to them.
Yes, I. That's beautiful when that happens. I love when that happens to me too. I haven't had a few well, but it's something that yeah, words can put into.
And it's something that at the time you did was, it was so minor. It was, you didn't even think about it.
Hmm.
And to think that all these years later, it still meant something to them.
Yeah.
It means more than anything that I planned to do for somebody. It
I
just, it,
yeah,
it's really, it's great to have these kind of friendships.
it is. It is. And I'm glad that you do have those kinds of friendships. Those are the good ones. Um, what's I gonna say? Oh, okay. Here we go. So you came from obviously like a different era of Rocky Horror. And even though you've been out of the scene for a while, is there anything that you've noticed that is different in comparison to back when you were performing from the shows that you have gone to? Or does it always still kind of feel the same?
Oh no, it's way different.
Yeah.
Um, well, back when we did it,
Hmm.
there was no evidence. Back when we did it, there was no real advertising.
Hmm.
So we had we had a following,
Yeah.
and they would be the ones who brought new people in.
Okay.
So it was a community,
Hmm.
and it was a group that somehow you always it was always what is it, 3 shades of Kevin Costner,
The
three
oh
degrees, 3 degrees of separation.
yes, yes,
Everything was 3 degrees of separation back then,
yes.
because if there was a new person out in the audience,
Hmm.
well, such and such brought him, and that was his friend from high school. Well, he
Wow.
likes it so much, then he grabs his friend from high school and brings him and
Hmm.
his girlfriend, et cetera, et cetera. That was, and then we didn't have any way to promo what we were doing. We
Hmm.
didn't have the availability of ordering the costumes or the supplies. I mean, that was kind of the journey, was doing the thrift stores and the lingerie shops and um, finding whiteface. God, that was a hard thing.
Really?
It, it was clown makeup.
Was it really?
It, it back then. What did you use whiteface for?
Ah, I guess that's fair.
You know, that's the
Costumes,
whole.
yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
it was, and then we always had runs in our fishnets.
hmm
It never failed. And I still to this day have a pile of fishnets that are bundled together that I threw in a bag and they're sitting there. Every now and then I look at them and I go, oh, okay, yeah, one day I'll unbundle them and see if anything's good.
It's on your like the to-do list, but it's like at the very bottom eventually.
Yeah, it's in with the costumes at this point.
Yeah. Do you still have your costumes?
No,
Ah.
but
Mm.
I did for many years, and my now ex-husband,
hmm
but boyfriend at the time,
hmm
I talked about Rocky and introduced him to my friends from Rocky, but he had never seen it
mm
and he didn't understand it. And so I explained it to him and he said, oh, and I was like, do you want to see one of the costumes? And I
hmm
was being cheeky. So, of
hmm
course, I put on the last costume, the corset and garter and the whole 9 yards.
Nice.
Well, that started something that for 24 years I never lived down, and I right now have 6 corsets collecting dust in a bag in my garage left over from my marriage.
So you really
So
like the course.
yeah, yeah, it was definitely men are visual.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it there. Men are
Noted.
visually stimulated, and he had it tight.
But that's even cooler. Like something that you did that like you had that brought you joy. You could still take some aspects of that and bring it into something as intimate as a relationship.
Yeah, it made things more interesting
That's awesome.
for
Yeah.
him especially. For me it was just putting on all the garb again and doing the makeup again.
Just like the old days. It's reminiscing. That's awesome.
Except I was guaranteed a bonus this time.
Ah. The perks. Let's see. Um, okay. Uh, okay, this is kind of like I wrote it down in a way that like I always like to rephrase in a more like in a more organic way. I have like weird dot note handwriting. All right, so you did Rocky Horror, you got out. Did you after doing Rocky, was there ever besides like the friendships and the relationships, right? Was there anything from you personally that changed that you carried with you for like your time being out of Rocky?
What do you mean? Something that Rocky gave me that I took out from it?
Yeah, like for me, for instance, like
Some
my
confidence.
okay, nice, all right, perfect, okay,
Um, I was exposed to other people's ideas
mm-hmm.
from different places and different walks of life through Rocky.
Yeah,
We were all kind of misfits in a sense,
yes,
in our own way.
mm-hmm.
And we were the we were each other's glue, I
Hmm.
would say.
Yeah.
Um, we held each other together when things got rough, and then, it was the next person's turn to fall down, and
Mm,
we'd all hold them up.
I love that.
And I know I just strayed totally off a question. So,
No, you're
what was it
totally
again?
no, you're fine. Just basically, you after do while when you were doing Rocky, did you gain something from there that you carry with you throughout your life? Um,
Deeper understanding of human nature.
yeah.
Yeah. Some confidence in myself.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was quite naive going in there, and coming out, I had a lot more of experience
Hmm.
in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Just things that I hadn't experienced before. All of
Hmm.
a sudden, I'd experienced all of these things in this short time. I tried mushrooms for the first time. I tried acid for the first time.
Yeah.
Um, I had drank and smoked pot before that, but not but once or twice.
Yeah.
You know, um, when I was doing Rocky, it started out kind of generic, but I became a party girl. I had a blast. I did. I'll fully admit it. I have been a stoner my whole life. Here we go. I have my card now. Yeah, uh, but it gave me a feeling that it didn't matter if you were a bit off.
Uh, that's beautiful.
It was, you were accepted for who you were,
Hmm.
quirks and all. And so it didn't matter if, I occasionally had a breakdown and would cry for no reason, or if, the girl that played Magenta, had a fit of rage and thought that her boyfriend was cheating on her, and then they end up making up and doing it in the back row.
That is a oddly specific example.
Because it happened. Like I said, there are stories. It just kills me that the theater's gone and there's a friggin' car dealership there.
Oh my God, wait, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
Theater's been
all.
gone for a while.
Well, I knew the theater was gone. I didn't know. For some reason, I always assumed it was where University Mall was, but I feel
That was
like the.
University Theater.
Hmm.
Hillsborough 8 Theater was on Hillsborough Avenue close to Habana.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know what area you're talking about.
It was a brand new theater we got to play in. It was
Wow.
beautiful.
What? That's
Yeah.
unheard of these days. You guys got spoiled.
Now
But
we weren't allowed rice
mm,
or that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Um, we had a manager at the theater that absolutely loved having us there and would go to bat for us every time. And we got away with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And they had a little storage room off
Hmm.
the side in the theater we used, and
Yeah.
they let us store our props there.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. That's the best.
Um, because we had a full table and throne and yeah,
Nice. Awesome.
I don't know whatever happened to all those props, but
Hopefully they went to someone who took very good care of them.
uh, doesn't matter. New ones can be made.
That's very true.
Probably better now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I so we have the tank that we use for the Tampa Theater one is like it's pretty cool, but I kind of miss the tank that we had for when I was in the Cheap Little Punks at the Tampa Picture Show cast because it was an
Uh-huh.
actual tank. Like it weighed like a good 120, 150 pounds, and
Oh, geez.
it was made of like solid wood. Like you could dance and jump and do whatever you wanted on that thing, and it would hold steady. It was made by a
That's a
guy who
cool prop to have. We didn't have that kind of prop.
uh uh that's a good tank. I miss that tank. I did props when I was in the that's been always been my thing has always just kind of been props, so that's why I maybe that's why it holds so much value to me. Um what was I gonna say? I do want to ask a little bit about the human nature thing, as you mentioned that. Like, could you elaborate on that a little bit, or is it like a too touchy of a topic?
um, I, what do you want to know?
Oh, so you said you learned a lot about human nature. So, mm,
Jealousy and anger and love and lust and
okay. All right.
commitment, cheating.
Oh wow,
Uh,
okay.
I learned about a lot of things. Um, uh, I learned, there's a time and a place for things. I learned how to have fun even when I was scared to.
Oh.
Um, I learned to trust people a little less because
Mm,
I was too trusting,
okay.
but I was never abused in that way by my cast, by my friends.
That's good. That's awesome.
I was very fortunate in that way.
Yeah.
Um, I saw a lot of hookups and breakups, and I saw one relationship that was just constant fucking and fighting. It was nonstop, one or the other. Uh, uh, People came and went as far as hanging out around us, but for the majority, um, there was a couple
Mm,
that was with us for a while, and he was military. He was on base,
mm.
and um, she was a mom,
Oh.
and uh, they ended up being swingers,
Ah,
and yeah, and they were the ones that the spin the bottle party happened at,
sounds like
and um,
sounds like swingers.
well, yeah, and they would hit up the couples and go, "Hey, how about you go in there with him, and I'll go in here with her," and yeah,
And we'll
so
just see what happens.
right.
Okay, that's really cool.
Um, there was a wedding.
Oh, it was a wedding.
There was a wedding.
Love it.
Two non-cast members, but they were in the surrounding group. They
Hmm.
got married.
Oh.
Of course, they're divorced at this point, but
Damn it.
um,
You saw a lot.
Yeah,
Okay, I
a
can
lot of
respect.
life,
Hmm?
a lot of life.
A lot of light. I like that. Okay. We're wrapping, we're getting gearing towards like the last little bit of it. Um, is there anything that so after big being in the community and the camaraderie and everything, is there anything that keeps you always like coming back to Rocky in one form or another, even if it's just to watch the movie?
The memories.
The memories? Yeah.
Yeah, and the friend.
Yeah. That's all you really need sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, cool. All right. And then next one. If you had a chance, would you do it all over again?
Oh yeah.
No hesitation. I love it. Would you
No.
would you try to do it longer or would you just stick with your time that you did and then just leave out around the same amount of time?
Well, if I were to go back, knowing what I did, you know, knowing then what I know now, I probably would still be doing it.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that answer. All right. And then how I like to end off in all of the interviews that I do with people is, what is your favorite callback line?
I don't have a favorite.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't. I mean, you got the no chin. You got yeah. No, I've got too many of them. My favorite though was when we went. Um, this is totally off. Um,
I
our
just said,
friend, our friend that I told you had done uh, Frank for so long.
mm-hmm,
Well, a group of us from the old cast got together and went up to see him.
mm-hmm.
And I hadn't gone in 100 years before this point. A lot of the other ones hadn't been in a long time. So, of course, when he saw all of us staring together, he kind of was taken aback. And the line where he's at the throne and I forget what he's saying, and all of a sudden, there's a big pause, and he goes, Frank says, me.
Mm-hmm,
Well, a friend of ours, the guy that played Andy to my Janet,
mm-hmm.
busts out with, who's 40 years old and still playing Frankenfurter? And then me. Oh my God, he turned so red. And then and Frank throws the line after that point.
Mm-hmm,
Usually they don't have anything in the glass to throw at the audience.
mm-hmm.
Well, he had a bigger glass and a full glass, and it was directed directly at our group. Well, I come to find out another cast member was on the other side throwing to make sure the whole group got wet. So we were the only ones in the whole audience that were wet, but we got wet.
You know what? That's even better than a callback line. That's an awesome memory.
So,
That's
but
fantastic.
you definitely have to let me know when this happens so I can go down memory lane.
100%. I will definitely let you know for sure. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably end the call and then I'm gonna take everything that we've talked about, the whole conversation. I'm gonna send it over to my editor. And I think once I'm done with this week, he's gonna just start posting on when yours comes up. I'll make sure to send you a link for it. That way you have it,
Well,
you can and everything.
yeah, but I'd love to read them all.
Oh, okay, well, for sure then. Yeah, I'll send you a my link for my channel once we start posting. That way you have
Perfect.
them. Perfect. Thank you so much, Stacy. This has been such a wonderful conversation. It has been a joy, and I am so happy I got to take this time to have it with you.
Well, thank you. It was fun reminiscing.
Oh, the pleasure is all on this side, surely. But thank you again. I hope you have a great evening, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.